at my favorite place, the Jackson County Fair. These are the 3 tractors I brought, and we'll come back and look at them a little bit later. We try to feature a different brand of tractor every year, and this year was Allis-Chalmers, so I guess we'll go up there and start and look around a little bit. Well, as you can see, it's a sea of orange. The side on my left is, all those tractors belong to my neighbor, and some up the middle. And then about half of this side belongs to the guy that was the Allis-Chalmers dealer here in our town, the dealer I used to work for. Between him and his son and grandsons and some of their friends, they got all these. So we'll walk up here and look around a little bit more. Got a D17, a snap coupler blade, and a G, B, WC with a single wide or single front wheel, WD with a high crop conversion. I think it was made by Thompson. If I remember right, it says it on the wheels. Yep. We have another B and a C. That one's got spoke front wheels. I assume that was probably steel wheels cut off. I don't know. My buddy's WD power steering, and their 190 XT. They use this tractor a lot. We got another WD-45 and a WD-45 with a wide front. Another 190 XT. Those were pretty popular around here. 190 XTs and WDs. There's a styled WC. Another XT 190. Here we got a WD and a roto baler. These are pretty neat. This belongs to another friend of mine. He bought 2 of them, and he's got them going, and he's been making little bales. They make little bitty round bales, so your cows have a well-rounded meal. I always thought these were a neat piece of technology with the way somebody thought up this to make it work. It's pretty neat to see them when they operate. Another thing he told me about it the other day, which I never realized, is it actually has a reverser on it. So if you plug it up, you can pull this rope and it will reverse the gearbox and unclog itself. So that was way ahead of its time. We have a WD-45 with a loader. Another WD-45. WD-45 diesel. We worked on this in the shop one time for him. It runs pretty good. Another WD-45 wide front. Pair of G's. Cultivator and a mounted plow. .620 garden tractor. D10, D12. D14, D15, D17, D19, D21, 190 XT, another D21, 210, and a 220. I'm not up on Allis-Chalmers, but I'm pretty sure that's the factory cab for these. Here's another 220 that belongs to a neighbor. He bought the tractor new. Several years ago, he bought this loader for it. He uses it to move hay. You can see it's still got some hay in it. Straight off the farm and to the fair. Year-round cab. I know he uses it all the time. I see him out there. Here we have a CA. Very similar to the B's and everything. I know the big difference in a CA is they have the hand clutch right here. So you can kind of get live power takeoff by declutching the rear end. I always thought they were kind of a neat little tractor. Here's a little mini dozer. Kind of neat. Magna-Track. Here's a really neat one. I believe it's an Impson power horse. Made by Imco, I guess. Power horse, but it's basically a B Allis-Chalmers motor, and they made it into a four-wheel drive that you drove with reins like a horse. You could hook your horse tools to it and pull and drive it just like a horse, but you had to pull it. You couldn't just yell whoa. I'd say a few people probably had a wreck that way. Here we have some county tractors, which are essentially Fords converted. Something unusual you don't necessarily see around here. An old horse manure spreader that belongs to the fair. It just lives out here. Here we have a few of the other green. Got a John Deere 60. Belongs to a neighbor kid who's probably in about the 7th or 8th grade. So that's good to see him getting interested in it. 720 John Deere. Belongs to a cousin of mine. And an MT that belongs to him too. And then we got a 2510 John Deere and a regular wide front end M. Here we have a 4320 painted up pretty nice. Super H Farmall wide front. I believe that's a Schwartz wide front. I had one of those on the 1650 one time and changed it out. It would probably work on this, but it really wasn't heavy enough for the 1650. There's a Super C. A 2010, which, if I know a little bit about Deere history, I believe they consider this the worst one they ever made. There's just a lot of things that weren't quite right on them, so it's kind of neat to see one all fixed up, because I don't think a lot of them survived. Here's an R. And a 730 diesel. And Looks like this one's got electric start instead of the pony motor. Like the R's got the little gas motor to start the diesel. I always thought that was kind of neat. Way overkill. The Olivers were a lot simpler with direct start diesel, but this is kind of a interesting design. But I know the pony motor gave a lot of trouble, and a lot of guys switched them over to electric start. A C Farmall, a 400, B John Deere, Super MTA, 300 Farmall, and just jump over to this one, a 400 Farmall, Super A, 140. We'll jump to this side. Here's a 35 Ferguson and a 30 Ferguson, NAA Ford, 740 Ford, 660 Oliver, 70 Oliver. Got a Cockshut 550. I got one of these at home too. It's in pieces. VAC case. Got one of them at home. It's in pieces. And then my 60 and my 66 and my Super 66, which I didn't get finished, but I was working on it during the Corona time and couldn't get any more paint, so it got put back together, and that way I could play with it a little bit. Here's a couple tractors that belong to a good friend of mine. Massey Ferguson 50 his dad bought new. It's all painted up. And this 77, which I did all the work on for him, and it has been totally disassembled. I mean, I've had about every piece of it apart. So it's down to where it's just ready for paint. And then it'll essentially be a brand new tractor. I know the first time I drove it down the road after finishing it, it was amazing how tight everything was. It was like a brand new one. Here we have a standard 60. And a 70 industrial. These are my neighbor's tractors. An old style 88 standard. Ford 2000. 8-in Ford. 35 Ferguson. Another 35 Ferguson. '44 Massey Harris, 44 Special, 33 Massey Harris, and another 44 Massey Harris. Here we have a interesting Farmall H road grader. Don't see them very often at shows. American Road Equipment, and 240 utility. And here in a little bit, when everybody gets the gas engines uncovered, we'll go around and look at those. Well, we'll walk around and look at the engine display. We'll start with my trailer here and then just go around the ring. Bunch of old tools. Clipper seed cleaner. There was a bundle of them around. To the back side of my trailer, there was a couple guys looking at it a minute ago, so didn't want to bother them too much. But we'll go over to look at the other ring now. Here's the second ring. Some of my buddies. Inverted engine there. Oh, that's all right. Here's an interesting display of corn shellers. All the different types of handheld stuff. Pretty neat.